Good afternoon. Is it game 3 time already? It seemed like it was only the day before and yesterday where matt7898 faced off versus Illus. And we can see, because this is a game 3, each runner has 1 win apiece. Matt actually ended up taking a win yesterday in inverted key sanity. Well, it was actually, quite the race, quite the divergence, but ended up the small favored, Matt's position. Illus took game 1 for tournament MC boss shuffle, where there was kind of an unfortunate purple chest bombos incident on Matt's side, but you know what, we're here playing Ambrosia for a winner-take-all elimination, advancing on to the round of 16, and going to face off some guy named Airy, in the next round, so certainly quite the reward. I am Claire Mouse, joined with me as the wonderful Tracy. Hello, Tracy, how's it going?
It's going good. I was just thinking, well, this is going to be Ambrosia, so that swap small key, not going to be an issue today. Now, Bombos and Purple Chest, I make no promises.
That's very true. All right, we gotta pay real close attention to the boots hint, which is okay. Ice Palace.
Not bad. I prefer boots hints in dungeons.
Yeah,
I hate Dark World, Light World. I hate the Dark World, Light World hints because what happens to me is, okay, well, I've got to check all the Light World stuff right now. So, you sequence break to Zor earlier and you farm the money, and then it ends up being like on like K45 or something. And then the Dark World one, my all-time favorite, and by favorite I mean really bad hint, was Boots in Light World, but hey, they're sitting on Bumper Ledge, and boy, the uncle didn't tell me where the cape was. So.
Oh, yeah. Or, and it turns out actually, the pedestal also counts as Light World. That's really not a place you want to find boots on.
No, I saw a race. It wasn't a restream race, but I did see a race with boots on pedestals, so it does happen. But not tonight. Tonight we have Ice Palace. We just hope Ice Palace is a crystal, so we have other races to go in there.
Yeah, and right. And funny if you also do mention Ice Palace, right? I guess in terms of requirements, it's probably not going to be like as bad, right? Because you do need mitts, of course. Mitts hopefully will come sooner rather than later. You do need some sort of fire swords. But like flippers are kind of like more of like a soft ask, right? It's like we don't really need them to get in.
If you know boots are an Ice Palace and you don't have flippers, you have everything else, you just go do it. The more interesting question is, how hard do you try to get Canis Samaria for Icebreaker?
Yeah, No, that's actually a very good point, especially, with Icebreaker, right? And knowing you don't really have boots, right? You might actually want to try, maybe wait it out a little bit longer, especially if you can maybe, snuff out that Canis Samaria to kind of save yourself a couple extra minutes, right, going through Ice Palace. Right, we actually don't. Also, by the way, I think we did get actually a quick map check on Illus's side to see through. Our tracker, the wonderful Lady Laura Lynn, is already on top of things, marking in this case Hera is a 5/6 crystal, but we don't have a Dark World map check yet, given that there are 3 crystals in the Light World. I don't know. What do you think, Tracy? Ice Palace.
I don't want to see 3 crystals in the Light World if I know my boots are in a Dark World dungeon. I don't care what dungeon it is. I don't want to see that.
Yeah, that's gonna be kind of like the big question, right? Is that, especially if you end up seeing kind of Ice Palace as not even like the green pendant, right? You maybe like a regular pendant. It's like, do you go in? Boots could be on holster for all you know, and
could be.
May not be a great feeling.
I mean, if it turns out that we see deserts required. So if desert's boots locked, then you have to go in for ice. That's not so bad. But if we get early desert access with a book or something, and we don't need to get the key off the torch. Yeah, I really want that Ice Palace to be a crystal. I don't want it to be a pendant.
Yeah. Alright, so
not a whole lot in the escape. We've got $20.
Yeah, that's right. We got $20. Oh, we do have 3 bombs, which actually is, especially for a standard, Ambrosia start. Especially when boots are not, going to be appearing anytime soon. You do want access to the back of escape. So, 3 bombs is always kind of like nice to see.
Yeah, nice you don't have to worry about drops, which is I haven't even been paying attention to the drops. So, you might, there's a few places where you can kill a lot of rafts. You might see if you can get extra money or extra bombs depending on their price packs, but you don't have to work hard to get them.
Yeah, and of course, with Ambrosia, we do end up, of course, starting with a sword. Of course, already mark them already available on our trackers. Starting sword, especially for Matt and Illus, just super comfortable right from the start, right? Don't have to go swordless for 50 whatever minutes in hopes of searching for like a permanent weapon.
I don't know. When I play Ambrosia, you start with a fighter sword, then my master sword will be like an hour and a half later. So.
Exactly.
I've already got like, where are all the swords? Somewhere.
Exactly. I mean, I guess in this case, like, are we kind of hoping in this case maybe for an Agassiz? Because maybe if it's an Agassiz, that sword has a higher chance of appearing versus like I don't know. I mean, you can always get a cape, but
I'm pretty convinced that anytime you have a starting sword, your Agassiz are just that much more likely because you already have 1/3 of the Aga puzzle. That said, I mean, I like Agassiz when I play them because I tend to rush Aga a bit. But as a commentator, that's 5 minutes of nothing new happening. So
yeah,
I'm rooting against the Agassiz as a commentator.
Yeah, especially in Ambrosia, where sometimes maybe it's an Agassiz, you got to go hunt for like Castle Tower keys, or no, it's definitely not going to be the case here. And I guess for what it's worth, right? I don't know what kind of like Illus and Matt's kind of, I guess like how aggressive they are in rushing Aga, but that certainly has kind of decided, quite a bit of difference between races, right? Sometimes you think, you may be a bit more aggressive, rush Aga, and then you kind of turns out Aga's not required, so then you kind of wasted 4 or 5 minutes. But then on the flip side, if you make the right call, you actually just save yourself like 4 to 5 minutes because you end up, going to the dark world and progressing much faster.
Yeah, because like some of those last spots before you have to make the decision, like if Aegina's your last location, or if it's like a Zora play where you don't have the money for it, it makes sense to not do those right away and save that time, and hope to come back with money later.
Exactly. All right, so
nothing really. We got a fire shield, so
yeah, we got
yay block. We get to block the blind fireballs. So yay.
Yeah, yeah, 2 shields and escape. Probably. I mean, I think they'd rather have 2 swords versus 2 shields. Of course. But I guess, yeah.
I mean, at least you have it before the blind fight. Not that these guys need it, but I mean, it's that extra little bit of safety.
Yeah, I mean, but if we end up going to the dark world early, I don't think they'll necessarily turn down that fire shield, right? Especially if this is kind of about the amount of health that they're gonna get.
There are worse things you could get. Like those arrows, because we're gonna have plenty of arrows. By the time we get the bow, we'll probably have gotten several of those arrows. Okay, there's that map check for Matt.
Yeah. All right. So he's got the news, all 3 crystals, and probably their first priority at this point. Of course, in general, not just in an Ambrosia seed, they're gonna try and get their Dark World access. And looks like both Matt and Illus. Matt just a hair faster than Illus going into Lost Woods. Not gonna check the lumberjack quite yet because, of course, typically speaking, you want to try to maybe save that, maybe in combination, with going up to the mountain, or of course, especially when you end up getting those boots. It's not like you can claim the prize without boots, right?
Yeah, a lot of runners will do that check because they're going to check like the bush crab and the tree poles, but we already got a pretty decent amount of resources, so we don't really need to check those. You can check those over here anyway if you really want to.
Right.
We're not going to have trouble paying off the bottle vendor at this point. Probably going to end up with enough money to buy bombs if we need them as well. But we got 5 bombs and a sword, so the big bomb think is mini Moldorm Cave, but with a sword, you only need the bomb to get in. You can use the sword to kill everything else.
And yeah, this was actually also like pretty regular or normal routing, from both Matt and Illus. Just after escape, heading out into the Lost Woods, going to Kakariko, and hopefully we're gonna get a little bit more, direction, right? I mean, and we're definitely gonna be able to have enough money to afford like the bottle vendor. If nothing else, not from chest, we got enough pots, right, in order to get us up to that 100.
50 rupees combined in Blind's Hut and the well, so gonna have plenty of rupees for that. Do we get anything else good?
At least it's healthy so far.
Piece of heart. Another piece of heart.
Oh,
lamp! There's a lamp.
You were saying something
there.
about
You got a sword and a lamp. Just one more sword or a cape. Lamp's kind of nice too, just because, I mean, nobody doesn't want the lamp, but you don't always need the lamp. Because Fire Rod can take care of a lot of things the lamp does. But it is nice to just not have to worry about ever doing any dark rooms.
Yeah, no, especially, I mean, regardless of how good, especially, Matt and Illus, right? I'm sure they can do dark rooms well. I mean, in the dark, like with your eyes closed, right? But it's always just going to be faster, so you can actually see where you're going, right?
Yeah, the only dark room that isn't necessarily faster with a lamp is the one in Turtle Rock, because it's just a rail. I often joke that it's slower because without the lamp, because then you have the temptation to stop at the little island to get the magic refill. But the other ones, yeah, you're gonna gain time at all the other dark rooms.
All right, looks like though Matt and Illus picking up a club, so that's our first piece of Dark World access. So we've got 2/3 of the of Aga looking at us, and we've got 1/3 of non-Aga potentially looking at us.
We got slight mountain access. 2 items and one.
Yeah, that's true. No, that is also very true. Right, it's actually completely in logic with that lamp.
Yeah, so hopefully we get either a hook shot or a mirror, so we can do more on the mountain than just stare longingly at the 3rd item.
Yes. But of course, just because there are only 2 visible items, one is actually logically accessible, not counting, of course, the old man, does not mean that it doesn't have to be progression, right? We would like in this case to get a hook shot or a mirror, something in order to kind of, incentivize us more to go up there. But I mean, sometimes if it's the one thing that gives you progression, you're the first one there. You got a good, advantage.
Okay, there's a heart container we are never getting. By the time we get boots from Ice Palace, we are not coming back for that.
Yeah, especially, I mean, like they basically double their health or their life, right? Just in Kakariko.
Yeah, we've gotten quite a few hearts here. Okay, nothing on the race game, so both gonna save and quit. I'm gonna assume we're just gonna go South Shore. There's really nothing drawing us over to Eastern yet, since we didn't get a bow. The lamp by itself just not enough. So a standard South Shore play makes a lot of sense, and nothing to draw us over to Desert like a book. So probably not going to see that check, the one Agena check over there.
Yeah, I guess I'm kind of curious to see if either Matt or Illus kind of like wants to split up, like doing the dam into Agena versus Mini Moldorm, by itself. It looks like we're at least going to both go into the dam. More health, yes. By the way, this is just a regular, not regular item pool set. None of this, like open hard, 48 heart pieces. It just happens to be we're fighting a ton of health early.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm not a fan of the 48 heart pieces in the open mode. It's heart piece after heart piece after heart piece. Okay, what do we got in the flooded item? Another heart piece. Are we sure? Are we sure this isn't?
Yeah, can we maybe re-roll the scene just to double check this? Yeah, but I mean, good thing they got the sword, right? I mean, we did start with it, but really, honestly, we 10 arrows, not even like that many bombs. Like resources, really stingy.
7 bombs is plenty to do Mini Moldorm until you miss the first couple shots, then you start getting nervous.
Yeah, Mini Moldorm, of course, Matt, made it look pretty easy. It looks like at least Mini Moldorms are cooperating also for Illus as well. Hey, look,
there's our Moon Pearl. And a mirror. Okay, so now we have access to doing Hera. Can't do anything in East Death Mountain yet without a hammer. But with Hera being a crystal, and in fact being a 5/6 crystal, I wouldn't be surprised if we see mountain access and a Hera play sooner rather than later. Would probably do that before Eastern Palace in this setup, just because we still don't have a bow to finish Eastern. Hera, full clearable dungeon, and maybe you get a hammer or a hook shot to go east. And even if you don't, you get yourself that first crystal.
Yeah, actually kind of somewhat interesting to see, both Matt and Illus kind of making their way over to Ice Rod Cave. I mean, it is probably not the fastest journey over here. No flute, no boots. We're not going to get boots anytime soon. But, oh man, Illus, please be careful. Don't die out here. But it is kind of like a longer trip, just because probably these guys don't want to isolate it. But you know what, Tracy?
Yeah, that's a really good. Yeah, that's we need that.
Oh wow! All right,
I mean, need is kind of a strong word. We don't know if Swamp is a pendant or a crystal yet, and I don't know the hovering skills of either one of these runners. But it wouldn't surprise me if they could do that and or the Moldorm bounce for GT. But not having to think about any of that stuff is really nice. Now Illus looks like he may be doing some fake flippers.
Yeah,
so he can do a whole bunch of out of logic stuff, but he can't do the one in logic stuff because $66 is not paying off Zora right now.
Yeah, I mean, we can't even, make, like multiple payments or anything. Zora's kind of like a one-time, upfront kind of guy. But it looks like, Illus maybe wants to just kind of finish things up a bit. I don't know if you'll want to necessarily check the ledge. I know that some runners like to basically not look at it all, just because then if you look at it and it's nothing, then like Zora is just, flat out pretty much out of the picture, right, for the next, I don't know, 45 minutes, because, it's somewhat isolated. So, but you know what, Illus, that he is rewarded, with a nice out of logic early second sword.
So flippers would then put Aga in logic. Or we could just get a hammer from the old man and just have Darkhold access that way.
Well, that was easy. All right, so forget, in this case, the cape. Although, yeah, that's the sword actually on Illus's side did actually give us Aga access. But you know what, Matt? I think the old man was a better payout.
Yeah,
in this case.
Say so. I mean, long term, it might be a while before Matt goes back and gets that sword. So for a while, Illus is gonna have a nice combat advantage. But the hammer is what we want. The hammer gets us Darkworld access, gets us closer to Ice Palace, which we're still quite a bit ways away from. That looks like a heart piece, but I couldn't tell for sure.
Yeah.
And also, it's gonna give. Oh, you already had East Death Mountain access because of the hook shot, but you can route this maybe a little bit cleaner because you don't have to jump down to use the hook shot to get across after you do. And look, it's a green pendant Ice Palace. No game.
Oh my gosh! I think that was probably Matt's first eye over. Is okay, I'm gonna do a Darkworld map check. What is Ice Palace? Hope it's a crystal, and of course it is the green pendant. I also did see green pendant, other pendants at Skull Woods and Thieves Town. Oh man!
Oh, that's just a terrible trio of pendants. Like Thieves Town, the dungeon with the least number of requirements to finish being a pendant. Skull Woods, once you get a fire rod, we have everything we need to do that. And nope, we're not going to give you the easy ones. We're going to give you the hard ones.
Yeah, yeah, and of course, Mire and Turtle Rock being crystals as well. Speaking of Desert Access, we do have a potential book. But the fact that we have two Mire and Turtle Rock as crystals, right? Which means that we're going to need at least one medallion, maybe two, maybe all three, depending on where that fire rod is, right?
Could need bombos for Ice Palace. If we do need those boots or anything else that could show up in Ice Palace.
Yeah. Oh man, look at this. Alright, so some more diversions. Alright, so Illus rescuing the old man, getting his Darkworld access immediately. He says, "No, thank you, Hera, or the rest of the mountain. I'm gonna go to Darkworld right now."
Yeah, I think this is a fine play. I kind of like the mountain flex. Just there's so many checks, and you get a crystal out of it. Illus doesn't know though that Thieves Town is a pendant. I think I'd like this better if the end goal of this were to walk, you get your hype cave, you go to the west, and then you mirror and you go over to Thieves Town. But Illus getting the bad news that indeed Thieves Town also a pendant as well as Ice Palace.
Yeah. Yeah, but at least we're gonna start with Hype Cave. This is gonna be the fastest Darkworld entry point, for us. Even though we do have access to every single point, especially the one near Kakariko Village or Village of Outcasts, you're gonna kind of take a very long detour around. So certainly very reasonable for Illus to kind of start right here.
More money. Hey, now we almost have Zora money that we're probably never going to worry about for a long, long time.
Yeah, especially Illus in this case, who's already checked the Desert Ledge. Oh, well, that's an interesting... Yeah, that's very interesting on either time. Okay, so without the sequence from the sword from, that Illus has from Waterfall Fairy, Matt's not going to be able to claim powder.
I mean, it's progression to some extent, because it is a check. It is what I call the only good fetch quest item. It's like it's a great luxury item. It's the only fetch quest item I don't mind finding if I'm still looking for things. You find a late mushroom or a late shovel. It's like, really, game?
Yeah, that's right.
But at least the powder gives you some use for it. But Matt might never get that. Just because it's kind of in an awkward spot for him right now. By the time he comes back up here with a sword, he might be just doing Turtle Rock or GT or something, and may either not remember to get it or might not want. It's just won't.
That's
won't want it enough. And then when you're climbing GT and you get to the top, it's like, oh, I wish I had that powder.
Yeah.
If it is something on Magic Bat, could also fake powder if we get a mushroom. That is an option for him. So he'll know that's in logic once he gets a sword. And maybe he does the fake powder instead of going. I think you do the fake powder instead of running up just to get the powder to go back to the bat. But obviously that requires having the ability to do the fake powder.
Yeah. I think as far as I know, Matt is not really much of a fake powder kind of guy, but you actually brought up some really good points in that he knows where the powder is, right? And if it isn't logic, he's around, he has the equipment, like in this case, a mushroom and Cane Samaria.
It's a slightly it's a different scenario when you know the powder is available than when you don't. I often say a fake powder normally it almost never pays off, but when it pays off big, and that's a fire rod.
That is a fire rod. All right, well,
and Pen and Skull with anyone?
Yeah, exactly. I was gonna say, like, we saw the map check on both Matt and Illus's side. We got Pendant Thieves Town, which of course we have the hammer to get a full clear. We've got now the fire rod in order to full clear Pendant Skull Woods. Well,
I mean, could be required. It's a mirror
shield.
Okay, yeah, another thing we're never getting.
Yep.
These guys can do there are a few nice things that the mirror shield does, but these guys can do laser scripts. That's the primary one, is not having to deal with laser bridge. It's kind of nice in mimic rooms because they'll block those mimic fireballs, but beyond that, it doesn't really do much more than the fire shield, and it looks really goofy. So
exactly. I mean, right. I mean, that thing like covers up basically like half of the sprite, if not more. I mean,
there are some sprites that just kind of hovers all the time. Have you ever seen the cursor sprite?
I have. Giving us a couple extra chest turns in Hype Cave. Yeah, spicing it up a little bit for us. That's right. I mean, there wasn't really much else in there, but of course, there's going to be a difference. Matt does, in fact, now have Zora money, and versus Illus, who, well, at this point, chance of him going back. Maybe he'll go back with Catfish and combo it, but yeah, the chance of kind of Illus going back there anytime soon is probably not going to be on the table.
Yeah, I think the most likely thing would be, as you say, the Catfish Zora combination. And the nice thing is he could do that anytime he wants to. Doesn't need flippers to do that because he's done all the flippers parts of the
exactly. All right, so it looks like Matt and Illus are kind of trading places right now. Matt decided to go up to the mountain, kind of finish that off, and nothing really was found in Hera outside of that, of course, 5-6 crystal. And Matt did, of course, find the fire rod in Paradox Cave, but that was kind of the extent that he can do. Illus had already done kind of the South Dark World loop, kind of ending his trip over at Dig Game.
I have a feeling that Illus's intent was Village of Outcasts, but seeing that both of those dungeons were pendants, it just shows that the best of us still fall to Moldorm every once in a while.
Yeah. It's a big bully. I mean, of course, the better news, of course, is that Illus did not take the middle hole fall, because that is 2 floors instead of 1, and especially in this case, we don't have boots or anything like that. It's quite tedious to come back up here.
It's really bad when you fall down there and have to walk all the way back up. Okay, there we go. Down goes Moldorm for Illus. At least we don't have to worry about the basement.
Yep. Yeah, even though we do have a lamp, in this case, if we don't have to do tile room, at least tile room number 1, let's just skip it. And
yeah, it's a location you just don't want to have to worry about. Okay, so Illus is going to finish out. Illus is going to get the powder here, so that'll be nice for him. Nice add-a-logic powder until we find another sword.
Yeah, that's right.
So I don't know that he prioritizes checking that anytime soon, but then maybe you do, and maybe you think the sword is going to show up eventually, so maybe I get an advantage out of this.
Yeah, and of course, right, and the fact that he, Illus actually has the powder. Presumably after the mountain, he might just end up following. What Matt's doing right now is going into the Skullwoods Village of Outcast area. He'll be right around, like that vicinity, so he'll be able to kind of like route in Magic Bat, in addition to whatever else he wants to do in the village.
Okay, Matt can be the first one over to Village Outcast. Thought maybe he might consider doing Skullwoods first. I could see doing either way. Skullwoods and Ambrosia is kind of icky. Because, you got a guaranteed item on Moth, but then the other item, since there's only one other, you've got 7 locations in 3 different sections of the dungeon to search for your second item. So unless you walk into that first section and go to the right and pick it out immediately, it just gets really bad to try and find that second item. So no surprise he's going to do Village Outcast first. Probably going to do at least the front of Thieves Town. At this point, I wouldn't be surprised if the front of Thieves Town is sparse, going back and doing more of it. There's our in-logic Master Sword.
Yeah, that's right. So, okay, so by the time that Illus gets over to the Village Outcast, then he will have at least be on Tempered Sword. Yeah.
Okay, let's see. Got one more check here, and then we'll see what Matt decides to do. Okay, just some arrows, so nothing new opens up. At least nothing new, no new dungeons that we can do have opened up. I mean, we could go to Desert, but
that's such
Desert.
a long walk.
it's a, you know, I mean, the upside to doing Desert is finding out whether you need those boots and whether you need to prioritize Ice Palace would be a good thing, but you're right, it is a terrible walk. And we don't have boots to get there. We don't have a flute to get there. Ideally, we'll get the flute, and we'll be able to get there much faster.
Yeah, and of course, actually, you bring up also like a very good point earlier on, right? Desert, for all we know, could be boot slots. And right, this being Ambrosia, right? You mentioned just how terrible it is. Look, there's a Cadus Mario in front of Thieves Town. Good thing Matt dipped in, because that's pretty dang useful.
Yeah, we need that.
Yep.
And it'll make Ice Palace better if we do have to go in.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, I mean, but the fact that an item is guaranteed to be on the boss, right? It makes Skull Woods kind of less appealing, just because you know that right now, like an item's on the Mothula. It kind of makes some of these other dungeons for these runners to keep in mind, is that especially for Desert, right? If we can't get back to Landlos, then there's really only one item in the front of Desert, and it's just oh my gosh, you have to go back and forth for that. Oh, sounds awful.
Yeah, I mean, if I had a flute, I would rush Desert. I want that information. Do I need the boots? But if I have to walk there to find that out, it's just so much worse. You get one check, I mean, it's essentially potentially three items. It's two you can definitely get, because you can get the one on the ledge and you can get the one in the Gina. And then the one in the dungeon, like you say, I mean, you might not be able to get it, and you might not be able to finish the dungeon, and yeah. And then you almost wonder, it's like, well, if I know I need the boots, then, or if I know I don't need the boots, then maybe my opponent went and got him in Ice Palace before even checking, and maybe he's just gonna gain time on me. I don't know. It's just anytime the boots are in a pendant dungeon, it's just bad.
Yeah, I mean, you just don't want to dip pendant dungeons, right, to begin with. And that's getting kind of bullied here in the back of Thieves Town.
Yeah, I think it was a 2-item front, so it makes sense to just go ahead and go in the back, because he's checked everything else. His next choices are like Bolus Eastern, Bolus Pod, Pendant, Skull Woods.
Yeah. Oh yeah. These options sound great.
So you hope you find something good here.
Yeah, I guess I'm kind of curious to see what Illus will do. I mean, he is kind of at least in the south part. I don't know if he wants to necessarily take that detour over to Magic Bat to go check it right now, versus kind of at least doing maybe the rest of Village of Outcast, and then doing the front four or clearing out all the rest of Thieves Town as well.
Yeah, I definitely would like to see what's at Bat. I mean, honestly, it's probably nothing, but it could be that advantage if it is something.
Yeah. Yeah, and in terms of actually sword demand, just because the tempered, or sorry, the master sword for Matt and the tempered sword for Illus showing up a little bit on the earlier side, right? Especially in this dungeon, tempered versus master isn't going to be too big of a deal, especially on blind. Matt will have to take a couple more swipes in this case to hit enemies and to kill them, but he's also got the hammer, so not too big of a deal either way.
Yeah, it's not, Tempered Sword is really nice in this dungeon because you can one-shot the Zazax and some of the more difficult enemies, but not having it is not that big a deal. And we do see no item in the big chest because the small key is locked there, and you don't even get to skip anything other than that. But I guess the big chest is the one you really want to skip, so. Of course, you would have skipped that in non-Ambrosia, too. This layout is, perfectly legit for a regular seed.
Yeah, and hopefully in this case, our runners, both Matt and Illus, will actually just remember that there is an item on the boss, so then, actually it gives you more value, in order to be able to kind of be counting your dungeon items, or your non-items in this case. So then you can kind of like start skipping things, especially, for example, Eastern Palace, right? If you've got both items, up front before visiting the Villa Vicky chest, it is quite a bit of time saved.
Yeah, Eastern and Ambrosia is one of the better dungeons in terms of having the item on the boss. Thieves Town doesn't really change very much most of the time.
Yeah.
Because I often say there really is no such thing as a go mode Thieves Town.
Yeah.
I mean, the only thing you're ever in go mode Thieves Town, the only thing you're skipping is the big chest, and half the time you can skip it anyway. So.
Yeah, exactly. You do kind of feel smart though if you've been counting items. Be like, oh yeah, the big chest has like the map or compass. Like I can totally skip it. It's always kind of like a nicer feeling.
So Matt got a bottle, and we're gonna see what that is right away.
Yeah, he's turning it in immediately. Thank you, Mir. And hopefully this is going to be leading to something good. Of course, Illus is not too far behind Matt, just clearing out the rest of Thieves Town. It is sadly just 20 rupees.
So Thieves Town only useful if ped is a thing. And I mean, let's see, what do we even need to put ped in lodges? I guess flippers and the mitts. So there's quite a few things that I suppose could be there.
Yeah. With mitts, I would imagine both of them are just going to dive straight into Ice Palace.
Oh yeah, I mean, like I said, you know, if you're looking, you know, normally I would say for Ice Palace, if Swamp's a crystal, you don't want to do Ice Palace without flippers because you're going to need the flippers anyway. If Swamp's a pendant, that's different. Of course, this is different. We know there's this item we want in Ice Palace. And Swamp is a crystal, so we're gonna get flippers at some point. But if we could get those boots a little bit earlier by doing a fake flipper, I think you do it. Yeah,
oh no, oh for sure. Alright, Matt is exploring the front of Skullwoods, somewhat maybe more expected, because again, you know, item guaranteed on Macula, so where's the other item? And what has to occupy the rest of these chests in the front? And it's gonna be a bunch of keys
and more keys, map, a compass, you know, it's just lots and lots of keys. These dungeons with a lot of keys, like this is the worst dungeon in Ambrosia, I'm sorry, it doesn't get worse than Skullwoods in Ambrosia.
Like
I said, unless that very first check you do is the other item. So,
this is a really great dungeon.
Absolutely nothing in the front of Skullwoods.
I don't know. So I guess like I'm kind of curious, like because if you know in this case, you know, Skullwoods is not only a pendant, but you know, items on Mothula, like would you just go rush the back?
If it was a crystal, I 100% rush the back. As a pendant, in Ambrosia, I think I still rush the back, honestly, and just bet on these one item checks in the middle and on the backside and hope that I don't have to do the front, which would have worked out really well in this one. It's the middle, it's just bombs.
Yeah, exactly.
So we can skip the bridge chest.
Yes, Matt's like, I'm so glad I did the entirety of the front to find like my 2 small keys and my map and compass, just to find out that my one other item is in the middle of the key chest.
And I'm willing to bet we're gonna get a pet check here because we're gonna get a second pendant right now. Our third pendant is one that could hold our boots. And so knowing if pet is anything, then it's really easy to just rush Ice Palace whenever you get the mitts.
Oh yeah, that's
chances are, like the seed wouldn't be that nice to them, would it? Like normally you're not rooting for a pet seed if you're a runner, but here I think I'd be like, yeah, let's go. There's that what even could be there at this point. There's a flute on pet, and I need to get it anyway.
Exactly.
So I'm gonna run right into my boots.
Yeah, and this knowledge would also be quite powerful, right? Because it actually looks like Illus very understandably so, right? After finishing up Thieves Town, checks a kid, checking magic bat. Not quite in the Skullwoods vicinity. Looks like just a heart piece.
No magic bat today.
Matt in his Mothula fight, no boots, Master Sword, got a couple of fire rod shots. Moth is not really necessarily, hanging out on the top. So it looks like Matt is at least going to try and take him down with a hammer.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of using fire rod on Moth when I don't have a tempered sword. But on the other hand, I also used to think as a kid that you had to use fire rod on this fight. So I got relatively decent at it. Okay, so nothing in Skullwoods. So we're gonna check Ped, and then I guess we're going to Pod Eastern without a bow. I guess we can also have some North Darkwold checks. I guess, we have a North Darkwold check we can do, Graveyard Ledge.
Oh, yeah. I guess maybe Graveyard Ledge into, I don't know, current jumping over to Catfish, or maybe just go straight down into Pod. Oh, yeah. Looks like
the seed not gonna be nice. It's just couch cash. We're not gonna pull Ped. We've done, so we've full cleared 2 pendant dungeons. Illus about to full clear Skullwoods as well. And not a thing. Like, the only thing we got was a bottle, and the bottle led to nothing.
Yeah, from at least our bosses. Yeah, I mean, we did pick up the Cane of Samaria from the front of Thieves Town, but...
Right,
I mean,
that's right.
Yeah.
Cadence of Mara in front of Thieves Town is important, but you know, normally you do front of Thieves Town. Like, there's very, very few situations where you'll see runners not do front of Thieves Town. Mostly involving this pendant layout, if you can manage to try and avoid ever going to the Village of Outcasts at all.
Yeah. Yeah,
and
and
now we get Bombos. Oh, this could be Bombos into Desert. So at least you got something on the way. Matt values that knowledge of Desert more than he values trying to go to Pod Eastern without a bow, which understandable. I mean, that bow, it might be a bow lock dungeon. You know, that could be.
Yeah, and of course there's got to be something like on just a ledge sitting here. Nope, just never mind, just another heart piece. Alright, I think Illus kind of did exactly what Matt did, and basically when he got the small key in the map chest of Skull Woods, he full cleared the front in entirety as well. So yeah, not going to be kind of like too much time traded between, you know, Matt and Illus. They basically follow just pretty much the exact same route. Matt just happens to be a little bit, you know, like further ahead in terms of just more exploration. Illus just had a couple more kind of like extra checks along the way. He did, you know, sequence break out like the flipper checks in, you know, the Zora area with Waterfall, not Zora himself. And then also, thanks
okay,
game.
So we get a shovel, which is not something we want, and we're boots locked. So good news, bad news, we're gonna get boots because it's boots locked, and we know where they are. Yes. So as soon as we get, you know, those mitts, we're gonna head straight over to Ice Palace, get those boots. But we also get a shovel. Like, thanks, game.
Yeah.
The worst quest item.
Yeah. That's like, I guess I'm gonna go check Agina right now, and I guess I'll just have to walk out. Yeah, and then go check the
mitts on Agina?
Yeah, maybe.
Big spot mitts.
I don't know how good or bad you feel though if mitts just happen to be right here, because mitts were, I mean, this is a glove, right? This is a sphere 1 check.
This is the weirdest sphere 1 check, because I don't really feel bad about putting this late, because a lot of players also put this late, but you're always worried that you might be playing the one person that didn't put it late.
Exactly. Alright, Mothula down. Yep, yeah. And pendant, a second pendant grab for Illus. Because I presume he's also going to do the same thing, what Matt did earlier, check that still. And meanwhile, alright, Matt is just trickling in the new checks here. What is going to be a dig spot? What could help open things up here? I mean, mitts will certainly help.
Yeah, a bow.
A bow would certainly help.
I would almost rather have. Okay, or we get our mitts and we're headed to Ice Palace.
Yeah, okay, yeah, so I don't think like those types of mitts, or like that miss location is actually pretty good, right? Just because, you know,
it's not too bad.
Yeah.
Well, you gotta feel good if you're Matt, because your other option was Bolus Pod Eastern. And that's an awful, awful check. Now, Illus looks like he's headed down to the portal here. This could be to do Pod via the pyramid, or it could just be the same route that Matt's doing. He might also do Bombos into Desert, might also really value that knowledge of whether he needs the boots or not. Now, what are we buying here? Bombs?
I think he's buying a potion. If he's gonna go, into Ice Palace, maybe he wants a little bit more safety. He is only a Master Sword, not quite like a Temper.
I really want a blue potion here, but going to the potion shop is so out of the way when you don't have food.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, don't blame him for just going ahead and buying the red one instead.
Although, where is Matt going? I thought he was gonna like. I guess maybe he can't. You know, maybe he can't make flipper.
No, I mean, we don't have a bow to do the easy and still a fake flipper, so it's probably just easier to walk down here and do it this way. But it looks like Illus is going a different route. He's gonna go ahead and head towards Pod Eastern. He might, it might be a pyramid check in here. Nope, just gonna head straight to Pod. A little surprised that he goes to Portal 4 if he's not going to also check Pyramid Ledge, but it's not that different when you don't have a flute anyway, so Matt going to have a nice boots advantage. So if you're Illus, what gets you over to Desert? Does he have to find a flute, I think?
I would have to, yeah, I mean, a flute definitely looks like it would be an option, and just because like we know the mitts are not going to appear for him, so...
And then the other question for Matt, is he going to finish this dungeon? I mean, obviously, if the boots are on cold, you almost hope the boots are just on cold stare, and you just know that your opponent has to do the same thing. And a mushroom for Illus.
Yeah, a mushroom. Also, second bottle. Yeah, also second bottle with the red potion probably means that he didn't necessarily need to go buy at least the first one. Not that you would know this.
Yeah, I think I would have the tendency if it's within maybe these first couple of checks right here, or the icebreaker room, like here.
Nice.
I think I just leave with the boots because it's so early in the dungeon. Now, if I got them like on the big chest, and you still have cold stare, and you still have a green pendant, you've already invested a ton of time. I think I stay and finish the dungeon. Matt says, you know what? I want to see what else is in this dungeon. I want to get a green pendant. I am going to stay in here. And you know, if there's more in here, definitely advantage Matt. But Illus is going to get to those. Illus is going to get to those boots a lot later, and might feel bad enough that he might think, you know what? I'd better just leave here and hope that Matt got to here earlier and full cleared it, and I can gain a little bit of time that way.
Yeah, and presumably, kind of like after this, right? Matt maybe just go to to go back to desert to kind of finish that off. But then he'll probably end up kind of heading over to Pod Eastern as well. Assuming like no bow shows up and he doesn't really have like too many other options.
Yeah, so far we have not seen the second item.
Yeah, I guess I'm kind of curious to see if there is anything in Pod Eastern that would kind of like give Illus kind of an early advantage. Like, you know what? There's a bow. Well, that's gonna keep Illus in this area, presumably.
Yeah, he's gonna finish. Yeah, he's gonna finish these dungeons. He'll do Pod and Eastern. There's no reason not to. And then after that, presumably he's. I mean, what else is gonna give him anything to open? Like the myths are the only thing that opens a significant number of things besides that bow, and the bow is everything right here. Flippers opens very little for him. Actually, does Flippers open anything for him, technically, considering that, I guess, Swamp, but, yeah. I don't know. I'm trying to think of what would open something that would take him away from going to Desert sooner. I guess Flippers would be the only thing.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, but just because, like, he might also try and hold out to see if he can find a flute, right? Myers a crystal, and so we are going to have to find that immediately. And, of course, even though there's an item on the boss, I mean, if you can hold out for that flute, since he has the mirror, he has the mitts, you could just combo Meyer and Desert together.
And Matt gonna make sure he has full magic for the cold stare fight. He could do some duping, since he does have sword beams right now, and save a couple of fire rod shots. Well, he might do that anyway, because even then, you're still getting like if you do it perfectly, you get 4 fire rod shots, and those will make the fight a lot faster. And he doesn't have to my knowledge, I think he only has that red potion. Yeah, he's gonna get the dupes.
Yeah, no, this is very well done. Try to get a couple more dupes.
was that a quick swap error? I guess that was
maybe.
A little odd that he looks like he's got 2 fire rod shots, and that's gonna make the fight a little bit faster. Not as much as he might want, but but it is good. But every little bit matters here.
Yeah, no, and of course, not having the tempered sword from, in this case, like Waterfall Fairy that Illus had, not going to be quite the NMG muscle memory or the textbook cold stare fight that everyone's kind of like used to seeing. You see Matt, using as many sword spins as he can to kind of keep himself a bit of distance and pulling out the hammer whenever he can.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of sword spins on this fight, and there goes the potion.
Yep.
Because you can
but
it does
very
the same damage. Yeah, it does the same damage as a hammer, and sometimes you can double hit or hit multiple puffs at the same time. Getting close. There we go. Finishing it off, and we are going to get a green pendant. And a heart piece.
Yeah, alright. Okay, so the green pendant value is going to be TBD.
There are those flippers.
Flippers. Me too. We found flippers in Pod. Yeah, alright, well, so I guess like the green pendant turn-in is going to be maybe value, but it's certainly so far it seems like the amount of value Ice Palace has was really just the first chest, which of course had our boots.
So Illus could gain a bunch of time if when he goes to Ice Palace, he just leaves. Now we still have to turn in the green pendant, so we have to hold off a little bit. But unless that green pendant is something, yeah.
All right, looks like Matt with those boots, we're gonna do some
boots checks.
King's Tomb, Bonk Rocks, and then maybe up the mountain. And we do have mitts. That also, it wasn't all of Dark Death Mountain. You can also get some information, for what Turtle Rock is. We did find Ether in Pod, so that is one of potentially our 3 requisite medallions.
Yeah, so at this point we're missing, between the 2 runners, we don't know our medallion, so we don't know if we're missing anything there. We're missing an ice rod. We're missing a flute.
Of course we're always missing an ice rod. What kind of crystal turtle rock is this without missing an ice rod?
You're so correct. There's the flute.
Oh,
okay.
hey, look.
Oh,
the
okay,
so never mind.
Okay.
Yeah.
That probably gets Matt
back over to desert.
Well, Matt, we don't care about Matt going back. I mean, he'll probably just do desert sooner rather than later now. But we need Illus to get back over to desert.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
Yeah, Illus is not getting that flute, and with those flippers, he can full clear Swamp Palace, which is not a bad play from his perspective.
Yeah, but I kind of like the longer that Illus doesn't have. I mean, this is actually kind of like the flip of game 2, where it was inverted key sanity. Illus kind of picked right, I guess, quote unquote, earlier on, you know, when they first got light world access to get the boots, and then ended up having boots over Matt for like 30 minutes or so. Almost seems to be kind of the opposite for this seed. You know, Matt made the right call going to desert for that one item, which happens to be the shovel, which lets you our mitts, and then ended up getting him his boots. And Illus is getting, I mean, he's getting great progression in pod. But, you know, I think you mentioned this before, right? It's just that this is more and more stuff that's going to pull him away from desert.
Yeah, I mean, the good news for Illus is, I mean, he's making progress. Like, these are crystal dungeons. He has to do them. Matt has to do them, too. That bow in pod may be the only bow that's available until GT, which means, you know, it's not exactly the place you want to go if you're Matt without a bow. Like, you don't really want to go to bowless pod Eastern.
Yeah. Of course, I mean, maybe like a good news from Matt is that, you know, unlike tournament, open hard, this bows are progressive. So there are 2 bows out there. So, you know, Matt could kind of stumble upon the other bow somewhere else in the world. And then that will kind of like shift him over there to pod Eastern.
Okay, so Ill's gonna do Eastern now.
Yeah, but just kind of thinking of like when eventually Matt kind of comes over here, right? You know, over how much time Illus kind of spending, you know, in pod in Eastern, probably on the order of, you know, like minutes maybe, just because Matt is going to have those boots, right? And you know, Eastern Palace especially is quite nice.
Little surprised that Matt's going to prioritize Smith Chain over checking out the Mire. I mean, I know he can't actually go and do Mire because he doesn't have any medallions. But, you know, it's still like 3 items you can get. You can finish desert while you're there.
Yeah, right. And from his perspective, right, the boots are right now still out of logic. We don't have the flippers yet. But of course, we saw them, you know, on Illus's side that does put everything he's doing in logic.
Right, so he's not going to find flippers in desert, but he needs other things too. Yeah, like to his perspective, like a bow. Actually, it could still. I mean, there could be a bow on Landmill. I mean, there's another bow out there, so you know.
That's right. There could be a bow here on Smith Chain. Yeah. Right now, I think we don't.
What are we making?
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, right now we don't technically know which bow is quote unquote the one in logic. Perhaps we could see, like in this case, like where that second bow is.
Right. Sometimes it's kind of a coin flip because both are available.
Right. Yeah, that's also.
But and then other times, you know, the other one's bow locked, whether it be like a GT bow lock or just simply someplace in Pod Eastern or on Armos nights, which is always fun.
Okay. Yes. Fun fact, of course, right? Armos nights does not require the bow. It's just it's much more efficient for you to use the bow when defeating the Armos nights.
Just need to get there with them. It's all sorts of fun when we do the boss shuffle thing. Oh
yeah, that's true.
Or the full-on Randomizer where you can just walk up right on back there without a bow. Okay, we're gonna see the Mire area now.
Yeah, of course.
That ether's important.
And of course, Matt with the mirror, he also does have checkerboard cave available to him as well. It is Quake, so we are still going to be still searching for at least one more medallion.
And there's our tempered sword.
Oh, look, there's our Quake. Are we going in? I think we're going in. Right?
I mean, it's a crystal dungeon. I think you just do it while you're here.
Oh, that was easy. Okay, well.
You're not finding flippers here.
Oh, that's true. Yeah. And I don't know. Maybe
Ice could be here. Bombos, which might matter, could be here.
Ooh, Illus picking up a Cana Samara, not Cana Samara, Cana Burna from Mila Big Key Chest in the Eastern Palace. That does give us
Spike Cave, anyone? I mean, Spike Cave is one of those easily sequence breakable locations if you want to do it, but it's nice to have the safety item to do it and actually have something put it in logic if you're going to do it. Meantime, Matt knows he's already got the item out of here, so he doesn't have to do anything else in desert other than just go kill the boss. So doing desert first makes a lot of sense.
Oh, yeah. I'm just kind of thinking, and in fact, actually, part of Illus was doing a bit more science for us yesterday in his Averted Keys map. It turns out, actually, you cannot get through Spike Cave with only the cape and 4 hearts. He
Nope, can't
showed
do
us
it.
that. Yep, he showed us that live on restream. So
yeah, I mean it's tight with Blue Cane and 3 hearts. It is doable with Blue Cane and 3 hearts. It's super tight. 14 hearts will do it if you don't have anything, but we don't have anywhere near that because with all those early heart pieces and heart containers, we haven't gotten that many since then.
Yeah, no, that's true. Kakariko gave us a ton of health. Oh, Illus looks like he was just slightly off of the Armos quick kill. Oh, still managed to recover.
Recovered it pretty
nice.
good. I mean, he still wasn't as quick as the actual quick kill, but not having the red Armos at the end is always a nice thing.
Yeah, oh yeah.
And always still a time save.
So outside of that Cane of Burna, nothing really to be mentioning in Eastern Palace. We do have another crystal to our name. Matt, of course, no bow.
Had the prizes.
Yeah, and of course Matt with no bow can't really fall back into his NMG muscle memory. But you know we got a fire rod. We don't, we don't need half magic for this. Get a full magic bar. So Matt, that is, I mean, yeah, both runners are making very good progress in terms of dungeon completion.
Okay, so Illus, I think, is just going to do Swamp Palace. It makes sense. You just got your flippers. Swamp Palace full clearable now with that hook shot and mirror and flippers.
Yeah, so maybe this is going to be, right, so maybe after Swamp Palace, Illus is just going to do Bombos into Desert?
Yeah, I don't know that he'll have anything left after that, so I would expect that. Now, the better question is, what's he going to do about left side?
That is a great question.
There's still things, I mean, as long as the Ice Rod is outstanding,
Ice Rod and potentially another medallion, right?
Yeah. Bombos could still be Turtle Rock.
Yeah, and we haven't seen all of Dark Death Mountain either. And actually, potentially speaking, the fact that Illus...
Have we seen any of it?
No, that's true. Yeah, we didn't get mitts until, well, the one item that was the shovel, which led to the mitts in Desert.
I know. Oh, the poor shovel.
Yeah, but I guess actually, you mentioned, potentially for left side. I remember Matt and Illus both skipping left side in some of their previous races. It could have also been just because there was only maybe like one item in the back or on the left side. But also, this is Ambrosia, so item on Argus guaranteed. Hopefully, it'll decentivize or reduce the chances, right, of an item being over there.
I personally am a chronic left side skipper, and I make the decision whether to go back in afterwards. Having that big key show up does help. Helps the decision to go to the left side because the thing I hate. The only thing that's worse is, of course, if it's map compass on the left side, that just feels bad, and I refuse to let that ever happen to me again. It happened once, never again. The other bad one is you do everything, and then you get to the back, and then the big key is either on the boss, which it can't be in this case, but maybe it's in that waterfall chest, and it's like, do I go back up and open it now?
Exactly.
I already on the side. Do I really want to go back in again?
Yeah,
we get the big key, so it makes it a little bit better if he does choose to do left side first here. And there's the big key for Matt.
Yeah.
In Mire, not quite a God Mire, but that's not a bad spot for it.
Yeah,
I'm not going to do cutscene. There's only one other item, and I especially like skipping cutscene when you find the big key there, because now suddenly the cutscene can be a small key, and you'd hate to go there just for a small key. Yeah, there's a cave.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. All right. So that also does open up logically for Spike Cave on Matt's side as well. But yes, this is one of the benefits now of knowing that there is a guaranteed item on the boss. Matt does not have to search any more of the dungeon. That didn't quite come to fruition in Skull Woods, but at least Mire is some sort of solace in this mode.
Yeah, Mire's a little bit, unless that second item is on cutscene. I feel like Mire's not nearly as bad as Skull Woods for just checking all the items.
Alright.
Okay, we're doing left side. We're going there first. I mean, it is legit a little bit faster to do the left side first, no question. Especially with the diver down strats. It was actually faster to go a little faster to go left side first before diver down. Just the actual time save wasn't as much.
Yeah, and the fact that Illus did pull out a compass from the Swamp Palace big chest is, maybe just it drives him further to do it.
He knows it's not two dungeon items.
Wow, that fire snake just he was really not letting through Illus. Oh, these Stalfos, I don't know what it is. I guess there's a big party here. I guess also Illus is maybe more a fan of the bomb strats for Dire Down versus Samaria. Kind of interesting.
Yeah,
you don't really have to see this happen. Alright, Matt, I don't know what happened with Spooky on his side, but we are getting some extra DLC. We're gonna get a couple extra rooms here in order to hit the switch. but he's going back to Demetrius, and of course, having a temper sword from Myershed pretty much, you know, puts him at maximum comfort level. You know, a very talented NMG runner.
He can do NMG stress. He also has a cape if he needs it.
Yeah.
I'm a big fan of slashing with the cape and just not letting the magic go down.
Yeah, that looks like exactly what he's doing. Yeah, this is Rando after all. Who needs a textbook on, you know, how to go fast in the vanilla game? Of course, right. This is actually, more understandable too, just because Matt does not have the bow that Illus had. He found in the bridge chest of Pod, so probably wants to try and get a couple of extra, you know, shots with the sword slashes when he's trying to kill off all the other little extra eyeballs.
All right, so we got 2 heart pieces on the left side. There's a reasonable chance that Matt might be able to go mode Swamp Palace, and we'll be able to skip those. But a lot of that depends on where exactly the ice rod decides to be.
Yeah, yeah. We're still looking for Ice Rod, still looking for a potential, you know, Bombos Medallion if it happens to be necessary for Turtle Rock.
Yeah, I think if I'm Matt here, I think I go Dark Death Mountain here.
Yeah, presumably after like Checkerboard Cave, and then
yeah. You can just float away from here.
Yeah, I mean, and you know, if you're a believer in Dunka stats, right, where is the most frequent location of the Ice Rod? It actually happens to be in Laser Bridge or Mimic Cave, but you know what? It's in Checkerboard today, so, yeah, we are in potential, what, 1/3 skill mode?
Yeah, I mean, we're in, this is no mode if Turtle Rock is not Bombos.
Mm-hmm.
Now, neither runner is particularly close to actual go mode.
Yeah, it kind of maybe depends on what Matt ends up kind of finding out here. You know, just because he does have the Ice Rod, and if he can get into Turtle Rock, he's definitely full clearing that, right? And if a bow happens to be showing up somewhere in Turtle Rock, Matt is in, I would say, pretty comfortable position.
If there isn't a bow in Turtle Rock and he can get in, that I think is really bad. If there is a bow, then he's fine, because then he just takes his bow to Pod, gets his things, and he's done. But I think a bowless full clear Turtle Rock is worse for him than just not being able to get in if it's Bombos.
Yeah, Bombo. Yeah, that's right. Bombos or Ether, I guess, for that matter, because we did that Ether
right,
yeah. All right, Illus taking down Argus. We are going to get our prize, which is nothing. All right, so Swamp pretty much is empty. So yeah, if Matt can go mode this, he won't have anything lost.
Okay, so
Illus medallion.
Probably it is Bombos.
Bombos. Okay. All right. Well, you know what?
Checks here. We have another key under the doormat.
Exactly. Yeah, I was gonna say, like, you know, we saw this Quake from Meyer, and then Matt went to Myershed and found Quake immediately, and so maybe he's just here in Hookshot Cave.
Illus, on the other hand, I think has got a straight line path to get to those boots. He's gonna go ahead and he's gonna hit the Bombos tablet. He's gonna go into. There we go.
Bombos, yeah.
He's gonna hit the Bombos tablet. So yeah, Illus has a pretty straight line path. He needs to. I think he really needs to go ahead and bail with the boots in Ice Palace. I think he's more likely to, just because he's gonna get there a lot later. He's gonna have cleared more stuff, and may feel more behind because of that location. Because once he gets, he's gonna get this shovel, and he's gonna be, oh gosh, I gotta go check the shovel. It's my mitts. If Matt got this earlier, I need to leave and hope that he full cleared ice. I guess his other thought could be, I need something to be in ice and not and stay in it. But we'll see what he decides.
Yeah, and of course, you know, from this perspective, what we saw, you know, on Matt's side when he got the mitts, you know, rushed Ice Palace, very reasonable, and then, you know, he got boots, and the boots end up kind of leading to, in this case, the flute, which pretty much is the rest of, you know, what Illus needs. And, well, in this case, if Illus kind of follows that path of progression, bailing immediately after boots, and then, you know, getting his boots checks, you know, from Sanctuary, he'll get his flute, and then that will be, and we've of course seen everything else on Matt's side, right? Everything else is kind of right next door to whatever you need it to be. Ice Rod is in Checkerboard Cave, Quake was in Myershed, which was needed for Meyer, and then Bombos was in Hookshot Cave right next to for Turtle Rock.
Okay, so Turtle Rock, do you have a bow for us?
Yeah, and the fact that actually the bow, sitting in the bridge chest, when Matt goes in, presumably, like that is actually going to be a chest, quote unquote, like kind of along the way for him.
Yeah,
Certainly would not be.
He's not missing that.
Exactly. Yeah, certainly would not be unreasonable for him to open it and get silvers for his trouble.
I mean, he's gonna have to open it really, because with Pod, you get that first small key, so you go and open the door. So now you need another small key, so you open the next chest. You hope it's a small key, and then it's the bow. So now you still need to get a small key somewhere.
Right, yeah. All right. Okay. Shovel acquired for Illus. He is going not to the dig spot. We're going to.
Where are we going, Illus?
I don't know.
Is this? No, it's not. I was just double checking it wasn't Pyramid Fairy, but that is Turtle Rock is a red crystal, so that's not where he's going.
Yeah, is this maybe Smith Chain?
Not without minutes.
Oh yeah, that's true, he doesn't have minutes.
Is he really gonna go over to Catfish Zora before checking a shovel you found in a really awful spot? Let's just see what's on Lake Hylia Island.
I wonder if he's thinking Zora? Oh, maybe he just wants to keep his Dark World here. Yeah, so
he's got the shovel out, but he's gonna have to use the mirror first. No, he's got the hammer out. This is Catfish Zora, I think.
Oh, this is Hobo.
Okay, Hobo
first.
We haven't seen
Hobo.
Yeah, we haven't seen this. I mean, granted, at this point, there's nothing left for him to find.
Yeah, this
is not going to be anything.
But yeah, I mean, the fact that kind of Illus is in this area does not kind of like bode well for Illus, just because we need him to go over to the dig spot, which he of course does with the shovel. That's step one. But of course, getting to Flute potentially is his effective go mode.
Catfish Zora is such a long check. I mean, this could be the I hope it's not shovel because Matt probably already has this.
Yeah, I mean, right. This is also game 3.
So much quicker. It's so much quicker than these checks he's doing right now. Meanwhile, I don't think we've seen anything interesting over on Matt's side. No bow yet.
I think
in the end, it may not even matter. I mean, Matt's not even going to have that much left to do once he leaves here. I mean, he probably hits Spike Cave on his way out.
Oh yeah, that's true.
And then he has these same checks that Illus is doing right now, but I imagine at that point, Pod Eastern might be looking better than this Graveyard Ledge first.
Yeah, I think it looks like Illus is going to try and maybe knock out the North Dark World stuff, or at least the one check, I guess, here. This is, but I mean, this is,
without mitts and boots, this is so slow. Because you have to walk all the way around in the path that he's walking.
Yep, and then you have to walk all the way out if he wants to go see Catfish and Zora. And yeah, and Zora also is a pretty, roundabout check as well, right? You got to walk like basically all the way into Zora's domain and go talk. I am proud for Matt for checking Mimic Cave first. That is the correct thing to do in this particular situation.
I mean, the popular goal -1. Let's see if I can skip Mimic Cave and have it be in the big chest.
Alright, we did just get a Graveyard Ledge check on Illus's side, yes, of course. Right, understandably, it's not going to be anything. And as you said, Tracy, no boots, no mitts, you see all these really great rocks we could try to lift, and we can't because we don't have mitts.
It's one of those things, when I do that check without boots and without mitts, half the time I'm not even thinking about it, and then I get there, I'm like, oh, why am I here? This is so horrible.
Yeah, I mean, you can only hold right or hold down for so long before you just want to go do something else. Oh, Illus. Actually, I don't think we saw Matt do this. Because Matt hasn't been over. Yeah, Matt hasn't been over to his hospital yet, so he doesn't even have this option. Okay, this may be more understandable for him to come over here because he can also combine.
Oh, and there's a golden laser bridge for Matt, so that's go mode for Matt.
Yep.
And I think the key layout may have been such. I don't think there was a key on Lava Chest, so Illus might not even ever end up on Laser Bridge, might not get those silvers. But
yeah,
Matt taking quite a bit lead here. He's gonna get silvers. Swamp is gonna be very quick because he doesn't have to check anything in there. Doesn't have to do the left side at all.
Oh yeah, and especially
he's just gonna do pod. Yeah, Matt's gonna get everything in. Like he can't go mode pod. We were talking about him not missing that chest, but all the things he needs are in pod, so he's not gonna. The flippers will be his go mode when he gets them in pod. Now he could decide to do, Helma first, which isn't a bad play when you're go -1. But either way, he's gonna go back in. Like you don't not go back in that situation.
Yeah, and just kind of like the sheer difference in terms of time that Matt's gonna be able to save over Illus, just by having the boots, right? He's definitely not gonna have to go to middle of the big key chest of Eastern Palace either. I think the big key was in the map chest, like in the front. So once he gets the big key, he's just gone to the back, right?
Yep.
Yeah, no left side for Matt, as you mentioned, for Swamp Palace either. It's just go mode Swamp is going to be lightning fast. Yeah, so Matt certainly has a very commanding position in this particular race. Despite this pretty much being, it's not quite all dungeons, it's because we didn't have to go, defeat Castle Tower. Matt does have all of the dungeons.
Yeah, he does.
Cleared out.
Everything. Oops, almost all dungeons. Because no Castle Tower.
Yeah. All right. So this.
This will be his quick pod. He'll do pod. He'll do Eastern, and then he'll do Swamp.
Illus, all right, turning over basically everything that was aquatic related. Did not, of course, yield anything.
He does not. He thinks the shovel would have been the losing play. The only reason I can think of for not going to that shovel immediately is if it's there, I've just lost anyway. But if he had gone to shovel right away, because Matt hadn't done any of Pod Eastern, didn't have that bow yet, we'd still have a race going on. Instead, it's going to be really tough at this point for Illus. I think Matt would have to make a humongous mistake, and at this level, you just can't rely on that sort of thing.
Yeah, no, that's. I think you're spot on in that analysis. It just kind of turns out though that Illus actually really wasn't all that far behind, honestly.
It's hard to say even if he was, because he had the full clears of the dungeon of 3 dungeons that Matt had no access to.
Yeah, and the fact that if once he dug up the mist, right? Presumably he also would have just rushed Ice Palace. He could have just locked out for boots, right? That would have been actually a very significant time save over Matt, who decided to full clear at Ice Palace.
Okay, now finally get a last location. I can't think of anything else he hasn't done, so I'm going to call this the last location. He did go ahead. Yeah, he does. Oh no, he was the one that had the powder from the beginning. It was Matt that never got it. So
right.
That is that is a location that he has done.
Yeah, and actually, just kind of like sheer coincidence. Illus sequence broke the sword that gave him access to either tablet. So then, it turns out it lets him access Magic Bat when he was in Kakariko. It just turns out it happens to be nothing, right? Could have actually swung in Illus's favor quite significantly if it actually was progression. But in this case, it just kind of ended up costing Illus a little bit of extra time.
Okay, so Illus gonna head over to Ice Palace. He'll get his boots in the first chest, and we'll see what he decides to do after that.
Yeah,
Matt, in the meantime, needs a big key and he needs to find flippers.
Yeah, so he just picked up the silvers from the bridge chest. The big key, I believe, was in Harmless Hellway, and the flippers were in Dark Maze. So
yeah, that sounds right.
Yeah, so I think should be pretty straightforward from Matt. Once he ends up getting those two things, especially when he gets flippers, he'll definitely be in go mode. So yeah, go mode Eastern Palace, go mode Swamp Palace, and then we are off to go fight Ganon and climb GT.
Okay, now receive Illus. He's gonna find his boots in this next chest. Does he continue on, or does he leave?
Yeah, so right, from Illus's perspective, he's still missing a flute, he's still missing an ice rod. So he could still keep going.
Yeah, okay, he's gonna save and quit. It's the right decision. I could have seen him staying in there in hopes that Matt left there and missed something good. But in the end, this is the right answer. In fact, Matt did not leave. He did find nothing good.
That's right. Yeah. And the fact that Illus has already cleared out Pod Eastern, maybe a little bit less incentive for him to go back to Sahasrara, because even though Ice Palace is independent. But this is going to be good news for Illus, of course. He is going to finish up his boost checks. We know the flute is here in... No, not here, but it's in Bach Rocks, which is in the next chest. Then presumably Illus is going to go activate his flute, go over to the Meyer area, and then go pick up his, well, everything else.
Yeah, but he's got a straight line path to finish the seed. You just had that big time between getting the shovel and using the shovel that's just gonna in the end cost him here. Because he's not that far behind, but he is. I mean, it's significant enough that it's just very little he can do. He has to clear 3 dungeons. Grand Desert's super quick. Meyer wasn't too bad as far as the big key, and his Turtle Rock probably is a little bit faster, but Turtle Rock is another one of those dungeons that just doesn't go mode well.
Right, yeah. And of course, the fact that Matt went to Laser Bridge, a full clear Turtle Rock, and got his first bow, Illus, chances are, is actually not going to see silvers, just because if he is going to go mode Turtle Rock, pretty much. He may end up just keeping it.
If that key layout is what I think it is, I think he doesn't have to do Turtle Rock, but I confess I didn't pay full attention to the key layout.
Yeah, I remember there were 10 arrows in the lava chest, in the big key chest, and there was a small key in Laser Bridge, but yeah, it probably needs not trying.
Yeah, just the fact that lava chest didn't have a key is significant, because he's going to steal that pokey key, and everything else should line up to get him through without even touching Laser Bridge. And when you're in go mode, I mean, I could see checking lava chest for a sword if you're on Master Sword, but other than that, no. And seeing that it's Quake, of course he doesn't know that he's about to find that Quake when he goes over to Checkerboard Cave.
Yeah, well, right. So, okay, so he's definitely going to find Quake here in Meyer's shed. I guess maybe the hope is that he still will check Checkerboard.
Meyer's shed. Oh, right, Checkerboard is
the ice rod. Right.
I mean, you can't leave. Yeah, you can't leave this area without checking Checkerboard.
Hope. That's the hope. I don't know. We don't know how what Illus's mental state is. In this map, I don't know if he's feeling
That's true. I mean, I've seen weirder things forgotten by other runners, so it can happen.
Yeah, I mean, and Illus has been actually, he's been very thorough this entire seed. Has I think gone back as well to a lot of the locations. It just happens to be in this case that some of the locations that he went back to, Matt either has never done, or just is just never going to do. And it doesn't didn't end up yielding anything interesting.
And a nice single arrow to the jewel there for Matt. Always nice when you have all the good things to fight some of the bosses.
Yeah, this is the nice part about Rando. We get, all of these kind of nice, quality of life, luxury items. Get silver arrows. Yeah, we haven't found half magic yet. We did find, of course, gold sword on Illus's side. But I mean, these are kind of the things that you don't get to normally play with, right? If you're running, the vanilla game.
Yeah, absolutely. It's fun to have all the extra items.
Alright, speaking of though, Illus, still no silver arrows. He does have the lamp out, probably wants to try and save a couple of fire rod shots in order to take down Lamolus, but this will be his 5th crystal. Meanwhile, Matt is speeding along onto his 6th. Presumably though, you're right, and just kind of the time differences, right? Matt has boots going through Eastern Palace, and Swamp Palace could be relatively fast. Illus will still have to go a little bit longer dungeons for Meyer and Turtle Rock.
I mean, Meyer Big Key isn't too bad, but you hope that Illus checks Checkerboard before going into Meyer. Although the cape wasn't too bad. The layout, as long as he doesn't get sucked into cutscene chests, the layout in Meyer was pretty good for Ambrosia.
Yeah,
like I said, the Big Key being in the compass chest just makes that cutscene check so much less desirable. Because again, normally it can't be a small key, but if the big key is on that side, then it can be a small key. But yeah, Illus is just gonna get his ice rod right now.
Yeah, that's
gonna put him in.
News. Right.
Actually, it doesn't put him in go mode. He still has to get the key under the door.
Right? He still needs combos, but he is gonna be super happy at the fact that he actually does pick up this ice rod, because if he had left this behind, I can certainly see him cutting corners if he needs to, especially if he thinks he's behind. But if he skips this. I guess we're not going to Meyer?
No, I think I'm assuming this is going to be to just flute to 6 instead of spooky.
Oh, okay, alright, okay, yeah. That makes a lot of sense.
I'm not even sure this is slower, to be honest. So if it is slower, it can't be by very much.
Probably just it's probably just awkward to kind of like dash back over here in order to try and like at least activate the medallion. Yeah. Meanwhile, though, Matt lamp in inventory has made it very safely over to Eastern Palace. So again, silver arrows. We saw how powerful they were on Helvesaur. Should be 6 silver arrows left in Armos Knights. And then
Silvers are so nice in this fight.
Oh yeah. Yeah, and then after this, it is off to Swamp Palace for Matt. Probably the the most significant amount of time in clearing out Swamp Palace is probably to get into Swamp Palace. After that, once Matt gets in, it's going to be pretty dang quick to get to the back and kill Argus. Tempered Sword, Matt is probably, again, almost practically a 124 runner for NMG, so probably, has been practicing the zero cycle for quite some time now. But Silver Arrows for Phase 2 should be no trouble.
Yep, and here we go, Swamp Palace, and we don't get to see anything.
Yeah, that's right.
And Swamp Palace is probably, in my mind, the biggest difference go mode versus not go mode of any dungeon.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, right, so even like the quote-unquote on-the-way chests for Swamp Palace, right, like the map chests, they're even kind of out of the way, right? So you wouldn't even do those either.
You sometimes do the diver down chest, you sometimes do the waterfall chest, but like with Matt's loadout, there's really nothing worth looking for. I mean, half magic is the only thing. Gold sword would be nice. We know he's not getting that. Actually, we know he's not getting anything if he checks these things. So I don't see him checking anything. He's already got silvers.
Yeah,
really not much left for him to grab.
Yeah, I mean, he owes his blue mail. I mean, I think blue mail's already a pretty high luxury, right?
Yeah, the difference between green and blue is pretty significant, but the difference between blue and red is almost not noticeable.
Alright, Illus picked up his cape, so he knows that he is just in a search of that big key. Going to find it here in a compass chest. So
interesting order. Yeah, interesting order he did this in. You do see this on occasion.
Yeah, but the good part, of course, right. The important part is he avoided the vanilla big key chest, which is by far the longest one, so he's going to be able to go straight to Vitreous. Arguably, he will be able to save a little bit of time over Matt. Not that Matt had like a bad fight or anything, he's just that he didn't have a bow. And so Phase 2 is going to be a lot faster.
Phase 2 will be a lot faster. And actually, depending on how he does Phase 1, sword slashes with the gold sword and a cape are actually really fast.
That's true.
Where sword spins with the gold sword and a cape is the same as tempered, so we'll see what he chooses to do. I'm a big fan of cape gold sword strats and killing big eyeball first. It's fun and it's fun and it's fast, so you don't have to even ever pull out the bow. Haven't got that to catch on yet, though.
Yeah, it's hard to break people out of their existing muscle memory, right?
Yeah, it's also I'm not a 24 NMG runner, so so I don't think it holds quite as much weight when I say something like that. That's fine. It's understandable. Yeah, Matt's not even checking these on the path chest.
Yeah.
There's no reason for him to.
No, he's got tempered sword. He's got boots, and he has a luxury silvers on his side.
Yeah. So in the end, Matt's gonna be about a turtle rock ahead.
Yeah, actually, that looks like it, right? So Illus is gonna finish up in this case Vitreous. Up around at the same time, Matt's gonna finish up Argus, of course. These, and Illus is going to still have to go up to Turtle Rock. He's going to do a little bit of searching within Hookshot Cave. Of course, he's probably hoping at this point, it's like, please don't be bombos. I have 2 medallions, let me just go. But it's going to be still a little bit extra time before, and by that time, probably Matt is going to be on his way to GT.
I mean, to be fair, Illus has checked so many things at this point. For him, I think the only other option for the medallion would be like Smith Chain or something. So there's not a whole lot left for him. To his mind, the odds of this both not being the correct medallion and the correct medallion not being there is pretty slim, because he just has those 3 Smith Chain checks. I think it's all
that's true. Yeah. We haven't seen hammer pegs. We haven't seen, actually the actual.
I think we did see. Did we see hammer? We might have. I think we saw all that stuff from Matt. I think he did that.
Did we see hammer pegs? Okay. I guess I don't remember.
Yeah, I want to say it was either right after.
Oh yeah.
Matt did those.
Yeah, no, I think you're right, because he actually ended up getting this early, and he actually did, right. Ah, thank you, yeah. Well, Lady Orlando, again, our tracker, you know, she's on top of everything, don't worry.
There's a bottle on Hammer Picks.
Yes, Oh, right, that's right, it was a bottle of the beat, yes. Alright, yeah, it looks like, you know, alright, so very similar if you're actually just turning in, seemingly, you know, we've got two runners side by side, and of course, we actually look at the trackers in this case, what each runner has done. Unfortunately, Turtle Rock is still not lit up for Illus, and this is going to be his first time in, versus Matt is going in straight into Gannis Tower.
Yeah, Illus getting the bad news that it's Bombos. We'll get the good news soon that the key is just under the doormat. This scene was really dumb for medallions. I'm sorry.
Oh yeah.
Like, come on.
Yeah.
Like they didn't even switch them up. They're just right there for both.
Yeah, I think Bombos even is what? Is it this chest? I don't even think Illus is gonna check anything else.
It's right there. Yeah. So he's just gonna fall down and leave. Yeah, Matt was still looking for a bow at this point when he was in Hookshot Cave, so he did do the rest. But Illus says, "Nope, I don't need it." And I saw a whole bunch of numbers going by.
Yeah, alright, so, yeah, feel free.
Go for it. No, you go for it.
No, yeah, feel free to take your guess as to where you think that GT think he is. From historical races, I believe Matt does prefer to go left side first into Southwest Room and get his guaranteed small key, and before heading over to the right side and Compass Room.
Looks like that's what he's doing here.
Yeah, Matt,
there's
Ari,
a that we're not grabbing.
Yeah, that's right. I was gonna say Matt, Ari, Wayne, all extremely talented NMG runners, all users of Darkling Sprite. I think they're just kind of like a big band together. Also established into
a pretty good group of players.
Oh,
there we go. That was easy.
Yeah. Even with guaranteed small key, you know, key under the pod and the big key, Matt is headed straight up. Alright, so Matt has actually climbed this quite a number of times, especially on recently. You know, he has been on the NMG grind for the 124. Currently has a 125.05, so he is super close. He has been like working so hard, pretty much like 2 sessions a day. You know, just to try and like finish up NMG runs. So you know, you can sure bet that he has lots of practice in his gauntlets.
And with the silver arrows that he wouldn't normally have, he has extra help for this fight, for this climb and the later on Ganon fight.
Yeah, oh yeah. You can also see, you know, getting through the cannonball room like a pro. Oh, Illus, no.
that Stalfo is just having none of it.
Yeah, this, you know, honestly, the enemies in this game has just not been kind to Illus in general, right? Like, you know, Moldrum was a big bully. He basically knocked him down, kind of casting himself, like, what, 45, 50 seconds. There were, like, a couple of Stalfos in the fire bar, you know, on left side swamp that just would not go away. So he couldn't do diver down, had to wait a bit. You know, it's just little things like just kind of, you know, taking, you know, nicks and dimes out of Illus. Now, of course, Matt does not have the powder in this particular case. Did not end up ever picking it up from either tablet. I don't think he
didn't turn in the mushroom, so he could do a fake powder, I guess, if he really wants to, if he really feels like he's in trouble. Like, he's gotten to the point, like this next section, you shouldn't be taking a lot of damage. So he really isn't going to be in trouble for dying anytime soon. That is the I mean, we talk about Ganon Falls and Ganon Deaths all the time, but, you know, the true grade equalizer would be a top of GT issue. Oh, he hasn't had a potion anyway, so it's ridiculous.
Alright.
Which you don't see very often in the only mode that you see those kind of things happen in GT is when it's Randomizer and you get a wall master out of nowhere.
Oh yeah.
I have definitely seen the wall master grab you in the last room before you get to the top.
Yeah, it's
in Randomizer, but that's not a mode in this tournament, so we never have to worry about it. Thankfully.
Yeah, it's a really unpleasant surprise, especially like on top of GT, top of Castle Tower. It's like, what? There's a wall master on here,
exactly.
And then you're just super sad.
And the worst part is, like, they don't removed with the wall masters that are in from their vanilla location. So now you just have.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Actually, Matt was almost with his little magic as Matt has, he actually could have gone for the fake powder if he'd wanted to, but no, he's just gonna grab the pot here and fill up his magic and go on his way.
Yeah, probably have to break a little bit of muscle memory here. I think he normally gets that small key chest out of all of the small keys from NMG. So, oh man, almost got knocked off by Moldor. That would not have been super fun. All right, so Matt has 18 arrows going into Agatu and Ganon. Hopefully, this should be enough in order to take down Ganon.
So you'd have to miss 14 arrows, 15 arrows
15.
to go to swordsmiths. I'd actually be really interested to see a player of this caliber have that bad a Ganon fight.
All right, looks like a pretty nice first pattern. Yeah. All right, that looks like a very definitive triple.
I think that was a triple. Can't always tell because if the sound is at the same time, as definitely a double. Yeah, there we go. 3, 2, 1. Like I could have even gotten that triple, but the second one was a little more difficult, and you got a double out of it. So still pretty darn good. Alright, Illus gets his last crystal as Matt heading into the Ganon fight.
Yeah, so I'm not quite sure what Illus's, I guess, like GT routing preferences are. We did see, of course, the big key being in Southwest Room, so don't even know if there's a small key in Hope Room or not, but if Illus does go left first, he will certainly at least be on par with Matt. Alright, Matt, dropping, you mentioned dropping down again and trying to get at his one-on-one for phases 1 and 2. Looks like a pretty, good start so far.
Yeah, looks like he did just fine.
Yep, gonna just take it. Gonna make sure that blue mail actually does work, right?
Yeah, another luxury he doesn't get in NMG.
Yeah, that's right. Alright, of course, we don't actually care about warps in this case. It's always going to be the same for, Matt and Illus. Just having to kind of go through the motions. Doesn't actually look like too many warps. So we're not going to be delayed too much in this case. Taking down Ganon. 2 arrows in. 2 more to go. That is it. Get your GGs in chat for matt7898. Gonna cross the bridge, go through the fanfare, and he is gonna take on Game 3, 2-1 over his series versus Illus, and advancing himself into the round of 16. Gonna face off against Ari, who is sitting pretty waiting for him.
Yeah, I mean, by the time you get to the round of 16, you're facing good players, but you're very scary. I mean, I'm not if I'm either one of those guys, I'm not comfortable.
Yeah, I mean, of course, Ari has quite the reputation. A world record holder for NMG. Rando, whatever champion. You name it, he's probably won something in there. Matt, of course, no slash of his own. I mean, you've seen actually how well he has performed. Basically throughout the series, throughout this competition, throughout this tournament. I mean, he is quite the contender. Alright, looks like though Illus is actually going to continue on. It's right. Unfortunately, I guess, fortunately for Illus, there was a small key, in Hope Room, so he's had to at least go through a little bit more before getting his big key here.
Yeah, the hope right play is can really pay off sometimes, but other times just leads you down the wrong path. And we do have joining us Matt. How are you doing, Matt? GG's.
Hello, Matt. Yeah, GG's.
Hey, thanks a lot, guys.
Well, alright, so I guess, tell us about, how you felt after getting mitts, and, I guess, your route ended up working out really well for you, just because, I guess, for some context, we did see Illus kind of dive Pod Eastern a bit, significantly earlier than you, and he found his bow there, but then you found your bow in Turtle Rock, so...
Well, it was, so you go into Dark World, right? And... I went to Hype Cave, and I was basically, so the only clearable crystal I have is Desert, potentially, but I know the boots aren't there. And I know it's probably boots locked, and I only have a fighter sword, so I don't really want to just check Bombo's tablet and waste that time. And I was like, Thieves and Skull are both pendants, or I could go to Bowless Pod. These are all terrible. And the whole time I was clearing out the village and Thieves and Skull, I was just like, give me something to get me out of here. Give me the mitts, give me the bow. It was just a cane and a master sword. So I was like, I guess I got to keep going, and I cleared Skullwoods like the worst way possible. Like, I could, and in my head, I was like, you can really see somebody go straight to desert and just be like, you know, I want to see if his boots locked. Do I even need these boots? So, I mean, that didn't feel great. And then I found the bow and TR, and then I immediately found the other bow and pod. And I was like, oh no. I was like, the damn bow's in here. There better be a pair of flippers in here too, so that if somebody put the pod first, they at least have to clear out swamp, right? And so when I found it first, I was like, okay, maybe this works out somehow. I mean, all the decisions were terrible, and I felt like I played very well in the seed. So I was like, maybe I have a chance. But if you went to desert first, dude, it's free, because you go to desert, you're always going to ice. You get your flute. The only hard thing to get is cane. It's in the front of Thieves, right? So like,
and front of Thieves is not bad. Back of Thieves is bad.
Yeah, so it was stressful. Like I can see the way. I was very happy to see those slippers in the pod. There weren't many places it could be, right? Because like the Fair and Fairy was slipper locked. So I don't know. It was stressful. That's all I gotta say.
What, I guess, influenced your decision to stay in Ice Palace after the boots?
Well, the boots didn't really give me anything, right? They gave me one item in Desert and Bonk Rocks and King's Tomb.
Yep.
And I had Cane and this green pendant, and I already know the pedestal's dead, but like, I don't know. I just felt like I kind of had to at that point, because if the problem is that if I leave and Bonk Rocks and King's Tomb are nothing, then I'm just going to pod, and I'm just losing all the time I gained by getting those missed before somebody potentially goes to pod. I guess I had the mountain as well, but even that, it's like there's risk in there that I felt like in that position, given where I was, that I kind of had to do it. I did think about leaving though.
Yeah, I mean, it was really interesting for a while, because, you know, Illus did Pod Eastern first, got his bow, cleared those out, got his flippers, cleared out Swamp Palace, and then ended up having to go to Desert, because I think at that point had nothing left. Got the shovel, and then did everything but the shovel.
Yeah.
Like he did, you know, I guess he had other things, because he did all the North Dark World stuff, you know, finishing off Zora, doing Catfish, doing Graveyard Legend, and for him, and by then we knew we were in no mode. By then, we knew that nothing was going to show up for him, and so it kept him from those myths. And it would have been really interesting to see what would have happened if he had gone straight for that shovel.
Yeah, it was funny because after I cleared the village, I was thinking about it, I was like, man, like I've already not gone to Desert. I should probably go to Desert. But then I remember in my head, like, doesn't Illus have an emote in his channel that's like Illus 2 pod? And I was thinking, it was like, does that mean he likes going to pod? But I thought for some reason in my head it means he hates going to pod.
He hates pod, yes.
I'm not going to pod because of that emote, which is basically my
That's hilarious. I love it. That's so good.
That's correct. He absolutely despises pod. I mean, we can confirm with him, you know, after he, you know, comes in, hopefully, and chats with us. But yes, I believe that it expresses his dislike of darkness.
Okay, yeah. So I mean, it really just like depends what decision you made when you first got your Dark World access, right? If you go to Desert, the seed is super free.
Yeah, I mean, you both full cleared village, so. I mean, you were even there, so you both full cleared. I think you both had a pretty bad route through Skullwoods as well. I've always, like, Skullwoods and Ambrosia is just the worst, because that second item, the non-boss item, there's 7 locations in 3 different parts of the dungeon, and you got to figure out which one it is. And
yeah, especially when you're terminating, like I was when I was terminating my route at the pedestal. Like, you don't want to walk back through it. You kind of have to, and then you get the first chest, and it's a small key, and you're like, oh crap, here we go. And then you just waste 2 minutes, and just like, okay, well, this is what's happening to me right now.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know why you keep trusting these Dunka stats, because there was nothing of value for you in Skullwoods.
Yeah, so. I mean, we all know how much Dunka loves Skullwoods.
It's the worst. I compromised with Dunka. What am I doing?
I mean, this is a ladder, right?
Exactly.
Yeah, not ladder.
Did you like the medallion placements?
It was very nice. Yeah, I saw the TR Bombos, and I was like, oh, I see how it is. Like, we're doing this again, aren't we? And then this time it was an hookshot game. It was a hookshot game in game 1. We wouldn't even be here, but it was like, okay, now I get it.
We'd see a Silverless over here from Illus.
Yeah, right, actually, yeah, like, as part of, I guess, like, your running, right, so you never touched Pod Eastern before, Turtle Rock, right, so you found your bow on Laser Bridge, and then, of course, the Silvers were just free, right, on Bridge Chess in Pod. Illus, got it the other way around, got his bow on Bridge Chess, and then I think he just go mode to Turtle Rock, right?
Yeah, the keys were good for him to skip Laser Bridge, so you're not doing it on Gold Sword. You might check Laser Bridge on Master Sword, but you're not checking it on even Temperate, let alone Gold.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
Oh yeah, and the Illus's fourth sword, by the way, is in Waterfall Fairy. He sequence broke that earlier. Oh yeah, that's right. Actually, that was kind of like one very minor early difference, was he went to Waterfall Fairy first before going up the mountain, and he had a Master Sword, and he was actually able to get the powder off of the tablet.
Oh, yeah, that didn't feel good. Was not in love with seeing that powder there, especially.
It's a great spot if you have Master Sword when you go there, and it's a horrible spot if you don't.
Yeah. Alright, yeah, Illus just finished up, very nice actually, in game for him. Get your G's out in chat for Illus. This is the end of his tournament progression, for this particular main tournament in 2022, but, I mean, round of 32, and making it this far is quite the accomplishment. Especially after facing an opponent like Matt. We are joined by Illus. Illus, GG's?
GG's.
Yo, GG's, dude.
So, the shovel.
Yeah, tell us about the shovel, Illus.
Well, it all comes back down to how Ambrosia sucks. I could talk a whole hour about it, but
yeah, I know how much you hate Ambrosia. I think I called one of your earlier races with it.
I don't know, man. Like you're trying to commit to dungeons, and then there's nothing inside, and then you try to avoid dungeons, and then there's something inside, and you're just sitting here thinking, oh, I'm last locationing again in Ambrosia, something new. It's crazy how awful the item distributions are in those Ambrosia seeds, man.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was. It was as Matt was saying earlier. Like this seed, this had a god route for sure. If you just don't even bother with village, except for like the cane in Thieves Town was pretty much it. I guess it was a sword in village as well. You just grab, just go to desert, get your shovel, get your mitts, go get your boots in Ice Palace.
Yeah, I ended up last locationing those mitts, and then I figured I wasn't in a great spot and tried to cut corners as much as possible. And I figured I had hit a pretty good route after the mitts, but well, my hope was that Matt would just do a lot of slow mitts checks and and end up wasting a lot of time with stupid overworld as well, just like I did, except for maybe Smiths as well. But it didn't end up being like I never win a seat in which Matt has the mitts early, so I figured I just play an assumption that he also had a hard time finding them.
Yeah. So I mean, still a really good tournament for you, all the way to the round of 32. Congratulations on getting this far. And unfortunately, it is going to be the end.
I mean, I guess this time Matt won. Last time I won. It just happens.
Yeah.
I feel like around this area, like I always tend to get to a round of 32 or round of 16, and then I face some strong opponent, get unlucky, and I'm out. That's kind of what happens in the main tourney, or what tends to happen in the main tourney.
I mean, at a certain point, you're just guaranteed to face someone really good. So
yeah, obviously. Well, what do I say? I mean, getting kicked out by worst mode. I didn't expect anything less. I really should have won, or I really should have won the one yesterday, I guess, because I figured Matt had pretty good chances on the one today.
Mm-hmm.
It just happens. Like Ambrosia is not my mode for sure. Like it rewards such weird decision making, and I can't befriend that mode ever. I feel.
Yeah, I mean, if you think about it, like you take out that boots hint, and when do you ever go to Ice Palace? You know?
Yeah, that as well. Like even like this, I had cleared out so much of the world. I figured, or I would say it would have been better without the boots hint, because then Matt might have been searching more overworld for the boots, right? It just didn't add up for me.
All right, now speaking of good players, Matt, you get to move on to face Ari.
Oh yeah, this is gonna be awesome.
Have you heard of him?
No.
No. Okay. All right. Okay. Well, maybe we'll try and see what maybe you can scrub some of his VODs, see how you stack up against him.
Yeah, this is great. Listen, this is what you do this for. All I care about is having good matchups against great opponents. I got to do that in this round. And like Ari, I've been grinding NMG. I've had the pleasure of getting to know him a little bit. I really like the guy, so it'll be a super fun series, and whoever wins will win. So I'm really looking forward to it.
I think you and many other people are looking forward to this matchup. I mean,
yeah, it's going to be a fun one. I mean, in all honesty, I think either one of you getting through would have been a really nice matchup in the next round. So definitely looking forward to this one.
Maybe you guys can roll, I don't know, a couple of vanilla presets or something, No,
I'm not racing. Listen. That's not what we're doing here. This is random. I gotta...
All right. Well, anything else either one of you... Actually, first of all, anything else either one of you want to add before we go ahead and close this out?
I've caught the end, and you've been talking about Pod, and I will say that I absolutely despise Pod, Matt, for the future reference.
I do like the emote, I gotta say.
Yeah. Okay. I'm glad you cleared that up, because I was getting a little curious.
Oh, Illus, I actually did have a question for you. Not related to this tournament, but I guess since you, no longer have any more scheduling, frustrations for next week, any particular thoughts for future tournaments?
I mean, I'm gonna join the Cross Keys tournament, as I would always do.
Yay, Cross Keys is fun.
I tend to play more cross keys around the time and less cross keys around now, so I'll have to get into practice for that one. And but if I do, I feel like I'm a pretty good player at that. So yeah, looking forward to doing that. And well, I'm glad I got to play some inverted in this tourney, even though I lost. I lost them all in records. But yeah. In general, I'm gonna have some fun with the cross keys for now, and then I'll see.
I guess for me, just thanks for the restream, guys. Illus, great series, huge GGs. I mean, he got me last year, can't forget. So I got him this year. Like, it feels fair. Like, we're probably a coin flip anyway. So
yeah,
it was a lot of fun,
felt like a coin flippy series. So All right, so that's pretty much going to do it for us. We do have more matches on the schedule. Looks like over on SpeedGaming Main, Penny Royal Oil versus P-Train is still going. Also at 6:10, over on SpeedGaming 4, we have Telethar versus Zero Rush. And at 6:40, we have Ikir versus Obscure Lifeform. And of course, more on the schedule for tomorrow and Saturday, so keep an eye out on the schedule for what channels those matches will be on.
Yeah, and of course, we do have, in this case, Matt versus Ari. Obviously, they have not scheduled quite yet, but certainly keep your eyes on the schedule for that. Should be a very, very exciting series. I also like to thank, again, our awesome tracker who, unfortunately, Lady Laura Linda, who unfortunately just had dipped out a little bit earlier, but she was, always wonderful to see her clicking up all the buttons, basically, and also keeping track of basically where everything was, for example, like that bottle, in Hammer Pits, reminding us everything that, and she's just something, really help us keep the restream going.
Well, tracker's always the MVPs. We can't do it without them.
Yeah. And Tracy, thank you so much again. This was
we need to do this more often.
Oh, yeah, no, for sure.
All right. But yeah, we'll see you all at the next one.